Hello everyone and welcome to another Mortal Kombat video. Now in today's video we will be taking a rather nostalgic trip down memory lane as we will be discussing the characters from the 3D era of the Mortal Kombat universe and where exactly are they now in the current timeline and continuity. Now from what you can tell, of course I'm doing this prior to the universe being rewoven by Kronika. Due to the somewhat ambiguous ending of Mortal Kombat 11, it serves as yet another big reboot for the series. So I will be discussing everyone's whereabouts before the universe has been reset. Now for this video I'll be talking about MK4 onwards. Although it's not considered a part of the 3D trilogy of games, MK4 was a change for the series where it stepped away from 2D to 3D. From here there are a few new characters that are brought to the forefront. Now I will be talking about the characters that debut in the main installments from MK4 onwards. As you see, I'm aware that Mythologies, which is canon, does have a fair few characters that debut there but later return in the series, so I will be talking about them when they make their main canon debut. So without any further ado, let's get on to talking about the location of the 3D characters. First starting off with Mortal Kombat 4. Fujin. Now the God of Wind is in fact one of the few 3D characters to appear in the reboot. However, despite this, the character has not been playable in any of the games as of right now. But in saying that, it's definitely worth keeping in mind that he is rumored to be in the next combat pack for Mortal Kombat 11, so I wouldn't rule him out just yet. Fujin did have a very small cameo in Kratos' ending in MK9 and does appear in the main continuity, playing an active role in the MKX comic books, where he does assist Akida in battling Havik, and he makes his reboot debut in Mortal Kombat X, as he can be seen during Shinnok's invasion, where he is defending the Sky Temple with Raiden. This however is his one and only appearance in game, as he does not at all appear later in the story. Now where are his whereabouts in Mortal Kombat 11? Well, although he isn't seen at all during the main story, we do in fact learn from some verbal exchanges in game that supposedly he was slain by Cetrion and Frost. Of course, this was when the Elder God sided with her mother Kronika and turned her back on her fellow gods. Now his death wasn't at all seen, so his fate as of right now is somewhat unknown. Quan. Now Quan is a character that was introduced super early on in the reboot, much earlier than that of the original continuity. Now due to this, Quan caused a lot of mischief between the Shiro Ryu and Lin Kuei, which is something we definitely expect from him at this point. However, despite this and his nefarious plans with the fallen Elder God Shinnok, his manipulation of Hanzo Hasashi proved to be his undoing, as a necromancer was slain in MKX by his former revenant slave, making MKX his final appearance in the rebooted timeline. Shinnok. The fallen Elder God proved to be a formidable force in the reboot, attacking Earthrealm on two different occasions, the first being right after Shao Kahn's invasion and another being 25 or so years later. Now although he was able to achieve his goal, he hadn't taken into account the new generation of fighters, as well as Cassie Cade, the daughter of Johnny, who had inherited his Mediterranean green energy. Due to this, the corrupted god was defeated and seemingly paid for his crimes. But things weren't quite over just yet. Due to his corruption of the Jinsei chamber, Raiden was forced to cleanse it, but by absorbing the dark energy, he himself would turn into a tyrant, and due to his no-nonsense attitude, he would decapitate the fallen Elder God, leaving him in a vegetative state where he's not alive or dead. Instead, he's just forced to watch the world go by. So Shinnok isn't really dead, but at this point he's literally just the head pulling faces. Jarek. This 3D character is one of the highlights of MK4, not because he's a good character, but he arguably is in one of the best all-time arcade ladder endings, without a doubt becoming a meme amongst the community.
Wait, this is brutality! You can't do it! Wrong, Jarek. This is not a brutality. This is a fatality.
Now in saying that, where's he in the current timeline and what has he been up to? Well, Jarek does make a very brief appearance in the MKX comic book run, where he infiltrates an underground fight club with the Black Dragons as they wish to kidnap Cassie Cage and Jackie Briggs, something which they are successful in. Now he does make his final appearance during the Outworld and Shokan War, where the Black Dragons have sided with Outworld, but after the battle was over and the Shokan are defeated, they would be imprisoned within Outworld's dungeons. His fate at this point is somewhat unknown, unknown, but he may in fact still be locked there right now. Kai was originally designed to be someone that was on par with Liu Kang in the original timeline. However, despite this, he never quite reached up to the accolades that Kang did, and this was very apparent as he only appeared in Mortal Kombat 4 as well as Armageddon. Now sadly for Kai, his treatment has not at all changed in the reboot, as he is still yet to be seen or mentioned, so his fate is unknown. Meat. Although this character can somewhat be seen as a bit of a joke amongst the community, he has in fact returned in the reboot, but serves to be more as an Easter egg than anything, appearing in the background and stages of Mortal Kombat 9 as well as Mortal Kombat X. What's really interesting here is that he does play a bit of an active role in MK11, however it is only in the crypt, where he is a jump scare once you obtain Kenshi's blindfold. Outside of this, however, he has not played an actual role in the reboot. Reiko. The Outworld General was truly a character that blossomed and came into his own in the reboot. Being one of the two main antagonists of the comic book run, Reiko's thirst for power led to him seeking out the power of the Blood Code, as he wished to transcend the mortal plane and become a blood god, and with assistance from the Chaos Cleric Havik, he would in fact achieve this. However, despite obtaining this power, it was in fact all part of a bigger plan orchestrated by Havik, as Reiko himself had not in fact become a blood god, but instead a vessel for Shinnok's amulet, something that Havik needed to obtain by crushing Reiko's skull. So that is in fact it for Reiko in the reboot. Tanya. This traitorous Edenium was in fact a character that did resurface in Mortal Kombat X, this time being a faithful follower of Mileena whilst she's battling against the current Khan, Kotal. Although for the most part she does play a very small role in X, she is a very dedicated and close ally of Mileena, doing whatever she needs to for their own success. Now her final appearance in X is when she's defeated by D'Vorah in the Quartan jungle. Now at first D'Vorah looks like she's going to kill them, but with some interference from Cassie Cage, she is seemingly spared. We do not see her from this point onwards, so we don't know what truly happens to her, but with the fall of Mileena, it's more than likely she has gone into hiding or has possibly betrayed Rain, an idea that is hinted at in her own arcade ladder ending, so we just don't know right now. Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. Blaze. The boss of Armageddon has in fact made a few very quick and brief appearances in the rebooted timeline, but he does somewhat get the meat treatment, where he does serve as more of an Easter egg to older games. He can be seen in the background of MKX, where he's battling Rain, and once again doing the same in the crypt mode of Mortal Kombat 11. Again, he serves no official role in this timeline in continuity. Rai Cho, the master of the Drunken Fist, does return in the reboot, but only in MKX, making a very brief appearance in Raiden's chapter, consulting with the Elder God about his guilt. As you see, Raiden still feels responsible for Kung Lao's and Liu Kang's death, but after this conversation, things go horribly wrong for Rai Cho, as the temple would be stormed by Shinnok, to which he's tortured by the god of death. Now his fate is somewhat left unknown after this point in time, as we do not see him again in the story mode, but it's definitely worth mentioning here that Shinnok does say that he will die shortly after this torture, but the character himself does appear as part of the combat pack. Along with this, in his arcade ladder ending, he does turn against Dark Raiden, which is something you would expect he'd disapprove of anyway. The fate of Rai Cho is definitely one that's up in the air. Although his death isn't at all confirmed, it's definitely worth keeping in mind that he was tortured by Shinnok. Drahmin, one part of the two big Onis introduced in MK Deadly Alliance, this brute does in fact return very briefly in the MKX comic books, where he is still aligned with Quan Chi, but his loyalty quickly backfires, as we learn that Havik betrayed Quan Chi and obtained Shinnok's amulet. However, with Havik being defeated, it slipped out of Quan's hands once again, and in a fit of rage, Drahmin is killed by the Necromancer, being drained dry of his life force. So that is the fate of Drahmin in the reboot. Frost. The irrational and stubborn Cryomancer does return in the new timeline and continuity. Her first canonical appearance is in the MKX comic book run, where she battles and loses to Cassie Cage in a cage fight. By the end of the run, she can be seen signing up to the Lin Kuei and does make her reboot debut in MKX, where she attempts to stop a peace treaty between Hanzo Hasashi and Kuai Liang, something that she's ultimately unsuccessful in. Now, due to friction and issues she has with Kuai Liang, she would branch away from his teaching, wanting to form her own Lin Kuei, one that's in her image and her control. And this caught the attention of the titan known as Kronika. Knowing what she wanted, Kronika offered her the opportunity to build the Lin Kuei in her image in the new era she was going to create. And thus like that, she would join Kronika's side, undergoing cybernetic augmentations in order to create a cybernetic Lin Kuei. way. But even with these changes, she is defeated by the end of MK11 story mode. Now it's unknown if this short circuit did anything else but sever her control, but it may be worth keeping in mind that she may have in fact perished from this. We just don't know as the details aren't too clear. Hsu Hao, dead. Character doesn't really deserve an intro. He's a humorous joke of a character who at this point is just the butt of jokes, but in saying that, he has in fact appeared in the reboot, but for only one issue in the MKX comic book series, where he's swiftly killed by Hanzo Hasashi as he is trespassing on Shiraryu territory. He does once again appear in MK11, however it's definitely more of an Easter egg during one of Aaron Black's intros. As you see, he tosses a bag and the severed head of Hsu Hao comes out. So yes, I will not waste any more of my breath on this pathetic character. Kenshi, the blind swordsman of the Takahashi bloodline, does appear a fair bit in the rebooted timeline, making his reboot debut as a DLC character in MK9. He does in fact play more of an active role from this point onwards, as we do see that he's now involved with the special forces and participates in battling against Shinnok's invasion. From here on out, he does make a very brief appearance in the MKX comic book run, where we learn of his son Takeda and how the Red Dragons are a key plot line for him and his son, as they did kill Takeda's mother, Tsuchin. So after leaving Takeda with Hanzo, Kenshi goes on a bit of a revenge mission against the Red Dragons, something that carries over from the comics into the actual game. Now Kenshi does play a very small role in X, as he's understandably not the main focus of the game, and it instead is pushing forward his son as well as the new generation of Earthrealm defenders. But we do know that he is alive by the end of MKX. However, what's interesting is that he does disappear for MK11, and his whereabouts as well as Takeda's are completely unknown. The only real reference we do have to Kenshi in MK11 is his dead body that's found in the crypt, but I wouldn't confirm that as solid information. Plus, with both Takeda and Kenshi being gone, it's more than likely that they are tracking down the Red Dragon. But for now, I can neither confirm where he is or what truly is going on with him. Li Mei, an old fan favorite of the 3D era, Li Mei does appear once very briefly in the rebooted timeline. This, of course, being MKX. Here she is attempting to save a lot of Outworld refugees from their home. As you see, a massive war has broken out in Outworld between Melina and Kotal Khan. The fight is spilling out and killing innocents. So she brings a bunch of refugees to the Special Forces home base in order to save those without anywhere to go. Now this is her one and only appearance, so we aren't too sure with what's exactly going on with her since then, but with the battle over and Melina gone, it's a rather safe assumption to make that she returned back to Outworld. Mavado, this Red Dragon henchman, does in fact return in the reboot. Although his appearance is rather brief, he does play a role in the MKX comics, where he sides with Melina during the battle with Kotal. He does however meet his ultimate fate a few issues later, when he attempts to kidnap Cassie and Jackie from Kano. This ultimately results in him being gutted by the two with his own hook sword. Mocap. This one seems to be pretty obvious, but Mocap is of course a joke character and hasn't made an appearance at all in the rebooted timeline due to his comedic creation. Moloch, another Oni that was a henchman of Quan that ultimately did perish under his master's control. After failing in his mission to capture Hanzo Hasashi, the necromancer releases his anger by having the Onis killed, with Moloch being decapitated by a revenant katana. We do somewhat see him return in MKX, but he is literally left as just a severed head, so that's all that we get from him in the reboot. Nitara, the sinister vampire, is actually a character that's yet to return within the series, with Armageddon being the last game where she was playable. However, in saying that, there have been a few references to her, one being the MKX comics, where Quan references her ties to that of blood magic. This is as far as it does go for Nitara. Mortal Kombat Deception. Ashrah, the demon of the Netherrealm, is sadly another character from the 3D era of Mortal Kombat that's yet to appear in the rebooted continuity. At most, all we have is her as a consumable in MK11, but unfortunately her last appearance just seems to be that of Armageddon. Dairou, a former member of the elite Sidon Guard. The ruthless Dairou is another character that's yet to appear in the current timeline. However, unlike a lot of other characters I've previously talked about, Dairou has seemingly been lost to time, not only being absent in the current continuity, but also not being referenced to at all. Darrius, another descendant of Sido, the Realm of Order. Darrius is the leader of the Sidon resistance against its oppressive leaders. However, much like Darrius, due to the lack of interaction with the Order realm in this timeline and continuity, he's also absent and not referenced at all. Havik, the Chaos Cleric of Insanity, is fortunately an individual that did return in the rebooted continuity. Not only that, but Havik himself played a huge role in the MKX comic book run, orchestrating and puppeting Khans, armies, and even gods through the use of blood magic. By doing so, he was able to turn Reiko into a catalyst for Shinnok's amulet and use it to nearly conquer all of the realms. However, due to some interference from Takeda and Hanzo Hasashi, he was stopped in his tracks and was brought to the Netherrealm, to which he was then killed by Quan Chi for betraying him. As you see, it was in fact Quan who gave him the ability to control blood magic. Although Havik's role in the reboot is only in that of the comics, it's nothing but short and sweet. Hotaru. Hotaru was easily one of the coolest characters to have come out of the 3D era, which is a shame when we take into account how underdeveloped he was in the original continuity, and it seems like nothing has really changed with the rebooted continuity. However, Hotaru does make a brief cameo in the Joker's arcade ladder ending, where the Clown Prince of Crime has made an alliance with Havik, and together they attack the Order Realm Kira. A member of the reborn Black Dragon clan under the control of Cabal, Kira is as dangerous as she is beautiful, but was this enough to get her into the current canon? Well, yes. However, she doesn't play quite as big as a role as one would imagine. You see, Kira is in fact one of the females Shao Kahn has enslaved and chained within his Colosseum, so for the most part she is just an Easter egg in Mortal Kombat 9 and has not played a larger role in any of the games from 9 onwards. Kobra. Clearly an influence and blend of Ken and Cobra Kai. Kobra was another associate of Cabal's revived Black Dragon clan, but unlike Kira, who has been physically seen in the reboot, Cobra has not, instead only being referenced to in a conversation between Eren Black and Kano, where it's insinuated that the gunslinger grew tired of Cobra and shot him dead. We are unaware of how true this statement could be, but seeing that he hasn't appeared at all in person, I wouldn't rule out the idea. Onaga, the ruthless original ruler of Outworld, is definitely one that many have kept their eyes out for. Being the predecessor of Shao Kahn, many expect to see much more from the Dragon King in this timeline. However, despite his anticipated return, the Dragon King has not returned in the current canon. He is however referenced through combat cards and in fact verbal exchanges in Mortal Kombat 11. To somewhat cap this off, he does make a very brief cameo in Kung Lao's ending, but sadly outside of this, Onaga is yet another character that's lost to time, so we are currently unaware of whether or not he will ever be revived. Shujinko, the somewhat spiritual successor to Liu Kang, Shujinko had a lot of expectations to live up to, especially as one that could hold down his own story mode. Love him or hate him, Shujinko is definitely a recognizable face within the Mortal Kombat universe, and I believe that because of this, it was one of the main reasons as to why he returned in the reboot. Although he hasn't properly appeared in-game, he did make a very brief appearance in the MKX comic book series, of which he was a puppet of Havik's when Hanzo and Takeda were searching out Kami Dogu daggers. Now despite the bloody fight that ensued, Shujinko is presumably left alive, but in saying that, Shujinko does make a very brief cameo in Cassie Cage's ending in Mortal Kombat X, where she seemingly kills the old man, mistaking him for Shang Tsung. Again, arcade ladder endings aren't always solid in stone, but once again, I definitely do believe it's worth mentioning this here. Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Taven could be seen as the flawed hero who had to reclaim his birthright to save everyone, but even he failed on his mission. So with the universe being reset, where is the Child of Fate? Well, in terms of canon appearances, Taven is yet to appear in the main continuity, instead making very brief cameos in Kenshi's and Takeda's arcade ladder endings in MKX, where of course they are plotting to take down the Red Dragon clan and its leader Daegon. We do have a few references to him in MK11, but again he isn't seen physically, so his whereabouts right now aren't entirely clear, but due to the disappearance of Kenshi and Takeda, they may be following up on that Red Dragon story arc. Daegon, of course, the other Child of Fate and son of Argus. Now unlike Taven, who's been absent in the reboot, Daegon himself has been rather busy, setting up and creating the Red Dragon crime syndicate. Since awakening from his slumber, Daegon has been busy selling arms across the world, creating havoc and chaos wherever he walks. On top of this, he does in fact make a very small appearance in the MKX comic book run, where he can be seen striking a deal with Goro to repair his severed arm. But due to this in fact being the final issue of the comic book series, this plot line and plot thread isn't at all chased up on, so we are currently unaware of what exactly is going on with him from this point onwards, but we do know that he is active in the universe. Unfortunately, that's as far as details go about Daegon. Sareena, former servant of Quan Chi and another character to derive from Sub-Zero F-Zero mythologies, Sareena is yet another fan favorite within the series. Despite her not appearing in a lot of games at all, she's definitely earned quite the fan base, and I believe due to this, it was a big catalyst for her returning in the rebooted timeline. Although she herself doesn't play a big role in Mortal Kombat X, she is part of the Special Forces team that takes down Quan, so during this fight she can be seen battling Kitana. Fortunately for her, due to some interference from Jax, she is not killed off in the reboot. However, this is the last time we do see her canonically, as she's not seen or mentioned from this point onwards. The only thing we do get from her in Mortal Kombat 11 is a small appearance and cameo in Cabal's ending, where the two have seemingly hooked up, but sadly that's everything we know about Sareena in the rebooted timeline. We are unaware of what happens to her after the events of X, because by the end of that story mode, Kitana and Liu Kang become the new overlords of the Netherrealm, so sadly we'll never truly know. But yes guys, that actually covers every character that's derived from the 3D era of Mortal Kombat. Yes, I'm aware I haven't talked about Tassia or Tremor, but they did derive from Mortal Kombat Special Forces, so I will consider them their own thing and keep them out of this video for the time being, as I feel like Special Forces kind of deserves its own video, despite it being a rather abysmal game. Anywho, I hope you enjoyed this video and learnt more from it. So before it does wrap up, please let's try getting this video to about 500 likes. It's honestly the best way of supporting this channel, and if you wish to stick around and see some more content, please do subscribe and tick that bell, as it will notify you when I do upload more videos, because we're going to be talking about a lot of Spawn. So if you're interested, please do keep an eye out for that. But yeah, that's everything I did want to say here. So as always, please comment, like, subscribe, and share this video with everyone you know. Please take care, and I'll see you all next time.